My vision was I wanted to have a seamless operation going into the nonprofit so that we could focus on the real work. And I knew that by having these software robots basically handle all the operational tasks, all the sales, the accounting, the donation handling, the shipping, everything that doesn't necessarily require a human decision, we could have the software robots performing so that we could focus on the real work.
Hi everyone, I'm Tracy O'Rourke.
I'm Elizabeth Swan.
And we are from GoldingSixSigma.com, and you're listening to the Just in Time Cafe podcast, where we wrestle with tough questions, talk to thought leaders, discuss great books with authors, and get insights from Lean Six Sigma practitioners.
We let you in on helpful apps, we bring you the news, and we challenge the status quo so you can build your problem-solving muscles.
So, Elizabeth, Halloween is over and my candy is almost gone. So what's on today's menu?
Oh, Tracy, there's no more chocolate, but there's definitely some treats. Today's highlight is your interview with Josh Beaudry, the philanthropic skateboarder who solved the mystery of RPA for you and I. Stay tuned and we'll solve the mystery for you too. Next up, we serve the results of our latest poll. The survey says we've got fishbone trouble, and Tracy and I will dig into that with you. In the news, Tracy attended an event with chefs and bartenders called Wasted. Was that related to the 8 Waste, or was Tracy overserved? We'll find out. And for Q&A, we'll answer the question, why can't I have more than one goal for my project? It's a great lineup, but there's one more thing. We have a sad announcement to make. Next month, December 2019, will be our final episode of the Just in Time Cafe.
Yes, this is very sad because we love the cafe. I love coming and talking with Elizabeth and talking to our audience. But it's time to move on to other fun and innovative projects. And so the Just in Time Cafe is coming to a close.
I'm going to miss this place. I'm going to miss talking to our guests. But that means we're going to put our all into these last 2 episodes. And we're going to go out with a bang next month with a stellar guest.
Yes, we'll go out with a bang, but you'll still be able to access the over 60 fabulous episodes forever. If you haven't heard them all, you've got some work to do.
Remember to stay tuned for this month's coupon code in order to get a discount on GoLean6Sigma.com online training.
So let's get to that poll. So learners are having some trouble with fish bones, aren't they, Elizabeth?
Yeah, Tracy, trouble. For the latest survey question, we asked, what is the biggest struggle you've seen when using the fishbone, otherwise known as a cause and effect diagram? The fishbone's a tool that is central to continuous improvement. It's one of Dr. Ishikawa's 7 essential quality tools. It's a key tool in the analyze phase of DMAIC, and it's using the plan step of PDCA. And it's a great way to get at what's causing problems. But according to our poll, not everyone knows how to get the most out of it. So here are the results. In terms of what trouble people run into, failing to include causes learned from the process walks, otherwise known as Gemba walks, and data, that was last at 10%. So people maybe are doing a good job of gleaning from what they learned. Next one up, not enough potential causes listed on the diagram, not quote-unquote bony. And that had a few more responses, 12%. Not combining the fishbone with the 5 whys to dig past symptoms and get to root causes. That came in at 15%. So people, I'm guessing, are using the 5 whys. But failing to verify root causes after digging past symptoms, that was almost a third, 29%. But the big winner at 34% was listing solutions instead of causes. For example, lack of training. That got 34%. And that mirrors at least my experience with first-time learners. There's a misconception that simply listing a cause on the fishbone is enough, and then you get to move on to solutions, because that's the fun part. What do you run into?
Yes, I absolutely agree. This is what I see the most as well. And often why do we do that? I think it's because we are so used to jumping to solution and not pausing with problems and root causes that it's just natural for us to just go ahead and do that. So that's unfortunate. And the whole idea for Analyze and the Fishbone is brainstorm solutions. How often do people ever brainstorm solutions? So often when we have new learners, they've never brainstormed root causes. So this gives them an opportunity to brainstorm those root causes. So I absolutely agree. The biggest challenge is you can't just list it. That's just your opinion, or it's a hypothesis of what you think might be wrong. But you've actually got to go prove it to yourself and to others. And that means collecting data, causal data, or observing the process and witnessing something occur to prove your hypothesis. You can't just list it.
Yeah, great rundown, Tracy. And then on this particular set of survey results, the biggest bar on the Pareto was listing solutions. So on the one hand, we've got a lot of people just moving on, saying, I listed it, I'm going to now solve it. But the other one is then they list solutions right on the Fishbone. And that's insidious because people don't often know that they're listing solutions. They just slip the words lack of before training or automation or inspection, and voila, now it's a root cause. And the problem with including things like lack of training is that it's limiting, because there's definitely going to be training as a result of changing a process. You are going to either update training or have new training and get people used to a new process, definitely, but that's not the point. And I know you've heard me tell this story, Tracy, about what happened in my gym class, but it's such an interesting example for me of someone assuming that the problem is lack of training. And that was my spin class, where at the end of the class, the young instructor, who was awesome, Molly, would point to the trash bin and the recycle bin and say, people, you're putting trash in the recycle bin, you're putting recycling in the trash bin. And she'd hold out these two blue bins and she'd just say, recycle is on the left, trash is on the right. Remember that. And I'm thinking, well, you obviously think this is a training problem. Then you just need to tell us at the end of each class, and we'll finally get it. But I said to her, what if you just write recycle and trash on these things? Or maybe they're two different colors on top of having the different colors. Or maybe there's those symbols that show recycle. I mean, visual management seemed to me a good solution, not training. So when you say lack of training, you're limiting the possibilities of what you can learn from the Fishbone. So what's your experience on that one, Tracy, listing solutions on the Fishbone?
Well, first of all, let me say that I have heard your spin class story, and I have actually repeated it to others. So I talk about you a lot, Elizabeth.
I love that. Talk about me more.
Classes, because it's a great example of being so focused on a particular solution that you're not focused on what is the root cause and what are the many ways you can solve it. So when you focus on training, you're not really focused on what is it that you're trying to solve. You just assume training is going to fix everything. The other challenge I see, because we see a lot of Greenbelt projects, is often I end up seeing that the only thing they've done when they finally get to the improve phase is training. And that breaks my heart, because is it truly process improvement if you've only trained people on a crappy process? Right? I mean, you didn't make a change to the process. So how is it improving the process if you're just training people? So I always tell people that doesn't count. If you only do training, that doesn't count as a Greenbelt project. People are sometimes surprised, but it makes sense. Did you actually change the process just by implementing training? No. So that's a challenge. And again, I'm also empathetic, because I realize that we naturally just want to jump to solutions. It's part of our fabric of solving problems often. And so, but how many of you guys have seen solutions implemented that didn't solve the problem? Does that ever happen? Yes. And how many of us have an extra 10 hours a week managing implementation of a solution that isn't going to solve the problem? It's a waste of time and money. So when people start to realize that they're implementing stuff that isn't going to matter, and they could actually be getting more time back by not doing that, they're often bought in.
I like your new term, crappy process. I think you should write a blog about describing the nature of crappy processes. Another thing that's been lost over time is that Dr. Ishikawa meant for the Fishbone to be a living document. And the team was meant to keep a running record of their discoveries on the tool. It was a learning tool. You kept getting more data. You kept talking to people and then adding your discoveries. If you missed our recent webinar on how to use the Fishbone, I highly recommend that. It's rich with examples and work and worth a look. So for our next poll, we want to find out your experience with using 5S. For those of you unfamiliar with it, 5S is a 5-step organizational technique to create and maintain an intuitive workspace. The 5 steps are sort, removing unnecessary items from the workplace, set in order, arranging items so they're easily accessible, shine, cleaning the work area so it's neat and tidy, standardize, setting the standards for a consistently organized workspace, sustain, maintaining and reviewing standards, and it's often a first step for people in process improvement, and it results in visual management, updates to standard work, and there are a ton of productivity gains.
So check out our poll and let us know where you're using it, at your desk, on the shop floor, at a nursing station, on the shared drive. We want to know. Weigh in and let us know your preferences. We'll discuss the results with you.
I'm Elizabeth Swan, and you're listening to the Just in Time Cafe podcast. We'd love your feedback. Please leave us a review on iTunes or our website, and don't forget to subscribe.
Up next, it's in the news.
Okay, Tracy, did you get wasted?
No, I did not get wasted in the common term that we understand, but I did have the pleasure of attending an event called Wasted. And I think what I really love about this is, although there were mixologists and bartenders there, the focus really was on not getting wasted, but really more a celebration of sustainable food. And this whole event benefited San Diego-based Kitchens for Good. So this event highlighted 35 local and national celebrity chefs and mixologists. They were challenged to prepare dishes and cocktails using ingredients that might otherwise be thrown away by a kitchen, like banana peels, orange peels, and corn husks. So all of the things that we got to taste were very interesting concoctions made of potentially something that might be thrown out. And so I really loved tasting everything and drinking everything. And Kitchens for Good is a nonprofit with a wonderful mission. Their mission is to break the cycles of food waste, hunger, and poverty through innovative solutions in workforce training, healthy food production, and social enterprise. They do hunger relief by providing meals to children, and they also have a culinary school for folks that have been incarcerated to learn what they call knife to life skills. So this is a 12-week culinary program, and the students, when they graduate, are set up with apprenticeships at participating restaurant locations all over San Diego. So there's a lot of restaurants and hotel-like organizations in San Diego that participate in this program, which is wonderful. So we really love what they're doing, and GoLeanSixSigma.com donates online training. And since they're only 10 minutes from my house, I provide some in-kind consulting as well to help this organization run lean. I was just there yesterday doing a mini training on 5S and visual management for organizing workplaces. And it's an absolute pleasure working with this group. They are hungry for process improvement, which is a pun.
Got it. Actually, this is so exciting, and I wished in these moments that I lived closer to you. They're doing so much, and it's exciting to partner with them. I love this idea of knife to life skills. They're a force for good, so I'm really interested to see what happens with their journey, their process improvement journey, and how we can help them. So stay tuned. Yes. This is great.
Yeah, what I love about what they're doing is not only the people that work there are implementing process improvement, but they're really making it part of the culinary program for the chefs as well, so that chefs can learn how to have 5S their kitchens and have some workplace organization.
Very cool, Tracy. Again, I'm totally jealous. I'm coming out.
I'm Tracy O'Rourke. You're listening to the Just in Time Cafe podcast. In a short while, we'll get to hear my interview with President and Automation Director of Lipstick Skateboards, Josh Beaudry. Next up, it's a question from one of our listeners. So Elizabeth, if having a goal is great, why isn't having 2 goals even greater?
It's a really good question, and I think that's what happens for learners. That's the thought process. So this month's question is, why can't I have more than one goal for my project? And it's a great question. I understand the inclination to include more than one goal. It sounds good. You know, if you say I'm going to decrease defects and reduce the cost, why not have them both? And in the reality, in a lot of cases, that if you reduce defects or cycle time, you'll end up reducing cost. So it seems to make sense to bundle them into the goal statement. There's just a couple of problems. So one issue is that the team and everyone else needs to know when they'll be considered successful. So if success is defined by hitting the defect reduction target, great. But is it, or is it defined by them hitting their cost reduction target? So defects or cost, and which would you hit first? And setting goals isn't easy. You know, that's a little art, little science. So now you have 2 goals that you have to set and figure out what's appropriate for when we'd be considered successful. Another problem is that multiple goals requires you to establish multiple baselines, investigate numerous root causes, and conduct several verifications for improvement. And Tracy and I just saw the poll results that people are not great at verifying their root cause suspicions. Process improvement projects are challenging enough without adding extra goals to your workload. I never approve projects with multiple goals. So if you're considering multiple goals, I suggest you opt for one of the following. If the goals are related, pick either the most important one or the one that is most fundamental. You know, it leads to others. So choose one goal and save the other one for a subsequent project. That's one way to do it. Tracy, what's your experience with people adding more than one goal to their project?
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Elizabeth. And I think the challenge it's people's thinking is people want more than one goal because sometimes they already know the solution they're going to implement, right? And so they think, well, I know this solution is going to implement, that's going to save money and defects, or it's going to reduce cycle time and defects. And so again, it's changing our thinking for root cause analysis. Different problems could have different root causes, but if there's some assumptions, I think, being made often where they think, oh, the solution I have in mind is going to resolve both these problems or resolve both root causes. And the truth is that not all problems, 2 problems may not have the same root causes. And so I sometimes feel like people assume that they do. And to your point, you have to look at 2 problems. You have to capture 2 kinds of baselines. You have to collect data on multiple root causes because defects may not have the same root causes as cycle time. And cycle time issues may not have the same root causes as defects. So that's the problem. And you're just adding more scope right away to your project and confusion because there won't be as much clarity for the team. And you also mentioned this in terms of what they're focusing on.
Yeah. And what's great is that you can track a lot of measures throughout the life of any improvement effort. You can reduce defects and report as part of the project gains that you reduce costs. So it's a bonus, but keep the goal statement to one target and focus on it.
Yeah, and I would also add, keep the goal statement to one target that's process related. I know that that's probably something that, like I don't like to see processes or improvement projects just focused on dollars. You can move dollars into a different bucket and achieve your goal and not do anything related to process improvement. Right? So I'd say I like to see goal statements that are related to process function.
It's time to announce the coupon code.
This code is for 20% off any of our Lean Six Sigma training and certification courses. That's white belt, yellow belt, green belt, black belt, and lean.
If you've joined us at the Just in Time Cafe, you get to use coupon code 20ICED. That is 20ICED during checkout. Make sure to use it soon because the coupon code is going to expire on the 15th of December. Coming up next, it's today's special. Tracy, give us a little preview of your interview with Josh Beaudry.
So Josh is president of Lipstick, and we'll be talking with him about his organization's vision and mission and the good work he's doing, bringing skateboards to impoverished kids in Brazil, and how he's using RPA, robotic process automation, which is very exciting, and we're seeing more and more in the realm of operational excellence. I'd like to welcome our guest for today's special, Josh Beaudry, President and Automation Director of Lipstick Skateboards. Josh has over 20 plus years in banking operations and robotic process automation solutions, both in large and small companies, which we're going to talk about what the heck that is in a little bit. He's also experienced in designing and implementing technology solutions for business problems. He's a skilled business product owner with agile methodology and various software tools. He's designed and managed large initiatives, achieving significant cost savings and improving customer experience. So Josh is currently an avid skateboarder. He's been a skateboarder all his life. He's skated professionally for about 5 years competitively, and he's very passionate about the impact skateboarding can have on a child's life. He most recently founded Lipstick Incorporated. Welcome to the cafe, Josh. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I would love for everyone to hear about this skateboard company you founded. The mission is empowering the youth of impoverished areas by providing better access to skateboarding. So tell us a little bit about your organization and the company's mission.
Yeah, so Lipstick Incorporated, formerly it was Lipstick Skateboards as a brand. We make skateboarding and bring skateboarding to kids that may not have access to skateboarding. So this could be within third world countries, kids that live in extreme poverty. It's a very real situation. And bringing skateboarding to them brings a lot more than just a toy. I consider skateboarding a vehicle to dream. And along with skateboarding, comes many other avenues for kids, such as art.
Very nice. So I really like that thought, a vehicle to dream, because I was wondering, you had said skateboarding has really affected your life in a huge way, and you talk about the impact of skateboarding. So unfortunately, I am not a skateboarder. So I have an interest in what that impact was for you and the impact that you feel like it could have on a child's life.
Yeah, so skateboarding for me, I started at a pretty young age, and it led me to a lot of different things. And first and foremost, probably travel and just opportunity to see the world and live a different life. I think skateboarding is a very powerful tool, and it can transform your view and how you live your life.
So tell me about your decision, because you said originally skateboarding. I'm sorry, the name of your original company was?
Lipstick Skateboards.
Lipstick Skateboards. And then you transitioned to a nonprofit. And
yes.
I was reading about how you decided to become a nonprofit after a trip in southern Brazil. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so during our travels, we had seen and we met kids that lived in extreme poverty. And when I say extreme poverty, I mean kids that may only eat one meal a day, or kids that may go home and they sleep on a dirt floor, or we'd see 5 kids sharing one skateboard that hardly even rolled. So we would end up leaving all of our gear, all of our skateboards behind with these kids. But we knew if we made the company an official nonprofit, that we could do more. We could have a greater impact. We could try to get more help.
Yes. And how long have you had the company? I'm sorry, when did you actually start the company?
So the skateboard brand is about 3 years old, but the nonprofit organization we officially formed this year in July. So it's relatively new, but we've been doing the work for many years.
Oh, that's great. And so are you planning to, so a lot of the work that you've done already is in Porto Alegre in southern Brazil. And are there plans in the future to go to back there?
Yes, we're trying to sustain what we've started. So we planted a seed in South Brazil in the Porto Alegre area, as well as Florianópolis in Brazil. Mm-hmm. But we feel like we've just planted a seed there, and we're trying to to maintain what we've started. But then we also feel like this is a global issue, and we have vision of taking the nonprofit globally in the next 5 years or so.
So I saw on the video, because I got a chance to watch the video, which I thought was a wonderful video to show all these kids so happy to get these skateboards. But I saw people doing tricks on skateboards. Do you guys also do skateboard classes for some of the kids?
Yeah, so when we bring skateboarding to them, we bring former professional skateboarders that have kind of lived through skateboarding, and that's actually kind of helped them through their lives. And a lot of them are volunteers that come down to do the work with us. So we definitely teach skateboarding. We teach kids, how to set up a skateboard. Just the power of skateboarding, like the impact that it can have on their lives, and the impact it had on some of the people's lives that come down and that spend time with the kids. Could be keeping them out of trouble, out of drugs, out of you name it. Skateboarding is very powerful.
Yes, that's wonderful. So I had the pleasure of seeing you at the OpEx Leadership Summit in San Diego. You did a presentation on your company, and that was in August of this year. And you really connected the dots for me. Not only was it a wonderful presentation, I loved hearing about your company's vision and your mission, but it really connected the dots for me about robotic process automation, also known as RPA. And I'd love to talk a little bit more about that, because I think this is still a kind of a new concept, even in operational excellence. And my first, and it says that you discovered this new passion for RPA tools. You've leveraged software robots to automate operations at Lipstick. And this has helped facilitate your core mission to work with kids. And now you're freed up to have more true human-to-human connection, and maybe even more skateboarding if you wanted. So can you tell us a little bit about how you're using robotic process automation, or how it's helped you in your organization?
Yeah, so when I was converting the skateboard brand to a nonprofit, at the same time I was getting heavily into RPA, which is robotics process automation, and essentially software robots that will mimic human actions. So don't think of it as real robots. It's basically a software tool that's mimicking exactly what a human would do when they're going between different websites or applications, or even using Excel or accessing their email. So my vision was I wanted to have a seamless operation going into the nonprofit so that we could focus on the real work. And I knew that by having these software robots basically handle all the operational tasks, all the sales, the accounting, the donation handling, the shipping, everything that doesn't necessarily require a human decision, we could have the software robots performing so that we could focus on the real work. And we also knew we were entering a new territory in nonprofit, and that there was likely a ton of other work that we needed to do. So it just made sense for us to automate from the start. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of a unique opportunity to streamline the operation so that we could focus on the mission.
Yes, I mean, I think that was the big aha I had, is because I really thought about them as real robots. I always thought robotic process automation, I think about the Toyota production line and the welding, and you see these big machines come in and they're actually doing the welding. But when I saw your presentation and you were talking about these administrative bots, if you will, they're like desktop, they sit on your desktop, and you can actually trigger it to run. Or I think that's what, a self-assist, what do they call those, assisted robots?
It's either assisted or attended. I've heard it both. So, yeah.
Okay. Can you tell the audience a little bit about both of those?
Yeah. So there's two different ways to say it. So I think unattended is when there's no human interaction. They don't have to trigger the bot. And there's attended, where you actually have a bot on your desktop and you trigger it to perform a specific function or a set of processes, basically. And then there's the other way of saying it is unassisted or assisted. It's essentially the same thing.
I see.
So basically, yeah.
So, so I think what blew me away, you showed this great video of actually the bot doing the work of all of those administrative processes that you were talking about. And you have names for your bots,
I do.
Lilybot and Ethan Bot. So tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so Ethan Bott is my oldest son. Actually, he's 6 years old. He does kind of the heavy lifting for lipstick, and my thought was I wanted to humanize the bots because a lot of people I think fear robots in general, and I think humanizing the bots was kind of an element that kind of came along during the process, and I felt like, you know, the robots are helping us, so I wanted to add a level of humanization to them because they're actually helping us facilitate our mission. And these aren't jobs that they're replacing; these are just tasks that I would have to absorb somehow within the nonprofit. So it made sense to name them. And Ethan Bot, named after my son, is 6. Lily Bot is my youngest. She's 3, and she does some more of the lighter tasks for us. So it just made sense to humanize them.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, are there any administrative processes that you would not recommend using a bot? Or what are your thoughts around where these are most well used?
So I think not necessarily a specific task. It's more around the process. So as long as the process is straightforward and there's not a ton of variation or human decisioning required, that's where a basic RPA bot can come into action. Now, there are a lot of companies exploring more cognitive and AI type bots that can make more human-like decisions. My experience is only with the simplest form of RPA. So it's the straightforward process where, you know, human decision isn't required or human action or intervention is required.
So how much time is this saving you? Because like you said, I like what you said is you said it doesn't replace necessarily workers. You'd have to try to figure out how to do the work on your own. So how much time is this saving you by having the bots?
For myself, it's more of it saves a lot of headache. So
yeah.
The basic function, like if we receive an online sale or donation, it can take you, 10, 20 minutes to handle that order or the donation and the accounting, everything that goes along with that, the shipping of items, or the figuring out the best way to ship the item that was ordered that contributes to the cause. But I think the savings isn't huge for me right now. It's more of the headache or falling behind. I definitely fall behind on those types of tasks. It's very easy to let your accounting go when you're running a small business or a small organization. So that's typically where I benefit. Now, if you're in a larger company, you're probably looking at more repetitive, high volume type tasks. That's where you get the biggest, bang for your buck with RPA. But there are definitely a lot of like smaller tasks that definitely can be leveraged with RPA.
So you were able to secure bots at some sort of special offering with this organization. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I ended up finding UiPath, and they offer a community edition. So they offer a free license and 2 free software robots for someone like myself that's not making money and not generating income off of using their product. So it's a scaled down version, but it was enough for me to get started.
Oh, great. So this community edition, it's open to the public?
It is. It's open to the public as long as you're not making money and it's not at an enterprise level. You're able to use their product and basically download it and put it right on your desktop, and then you can have 2 free software robots.
Wow. So anybody, if they had an interest in developing potential bots, or can you download bots that other people have created?
There's a community that they call it their community edition. So within the community, you can share the sequences and processes that you've already designed. So there is some sharing that can occur there. So like all the work that I've done in UiPath, I could share with someone else using UiPath if they wanted to do something similar.
Wonderful.
It's a matter of searching for it. You don't have any actually true support from the company, but it's all within their community.
Wonderful. That's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. So UiPath is the community edition. That's something worth looking into for anyone that has an interest in learning more about RPA. And also, if you want to learn more about Josh's organization, lipstick.org, that's lpstk.org. There's some great video and pictures of their trip to Porto Alegre in southern Brazil that they went to. Was that in the summer of 2019?
It was in April of 2019. Yeah.
April 2019. So is there anything else you want to share with our audience today, Josh?
No, not off the top of my head. I think I'm good.
So what if someone wanted to donate to your mission? How might they do that?
If they're interested, they can definitely donate at our website, and they can learn more about our cause and the work we're doing. And if they want to reach out to me directly, they certainly can from our website. So I'm the direct email contact as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming to the cafe, Josh, to talk about your organization. And it's very inspirational. Thank you for sharing it with us. And also your ideas and how you've implemented RPA is also very interesting. So thank you for sharing that today.
Yeah, no problem. It was my pleasure.
Want a free 1-hour introduction to Lean Six Sigma to help others quickly understand its benefits? Check out our 1-hour white belt training. Like all our courses, it's fun, easy to understand. It will help you see the world with new eyes and jumpstart your Lean Six Sigma journey. It's fully online, self-paced, and will take you about an hour to complete. You'll learn what Lean Six Sigma is, why organizations use it, and some starter tools like 5S and the 8 Ways. Certification is optional for $99, and you get to save 10% this month only with coupon code WB10. So start a free trial on our website by following this link to our white belt training. And also, if you haven't already, definitely sign up for Elizabeth's upcoming webinar, Harnessing the Power of Visual Management. It's coming to you live on Wednesday, November 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific.
And tune in next month for our final episode where we interview the wonderful and super colorful Michael Bungay Stanier, author of The Coaching Habit and Do More Great Work, where we're going to discuss his new upcoming book.
The Just-in-Time Cafe would not be the same without you.
So come join us for the big closing next month. Could be some fun cafe giveaways.
Really?
I don't know. At least we can say there are. We'll come up with them, I swear.